You think you can serve me with those filthy hands? The words slice through the ambient chatter of the restaurant like a blade. Solène freezes, the plate of seared duck trembling in her grip. Every eye in the dining room turns toward table 7, where the man sits like a throne carved from ice and contempt. He's beautiful in that terrible way that makes her chest constrict. Sharp jaw dusted with stubble, coal black hair swept back from a face that could have been chiseled by someone who understood both angels and demons. His suit probably costs more than her rent for a year, maybe 2. The cufflinks catch the candlelight, winking at her like cruel little eyes. Solène starts, her voice barely above a whisper. Her uniform, already worn thin at the elbows, already carrying a grease stain she couldn't quite scrub out from last week, suddenly feels like it's shrinking around her. I'm sorry, sir. I washed... Look at your nails. His voice is silk, wrapped around steel. Accented. Old world. The kind of voice that makes you think of castles and centuries. Chipped polish. Dirt under the cuticles. And you dare to touch food meant for my table? Heat floods Solène's cheeks. She glances down at her hands. At the nails she filed down this morning, because long ones get in the way of her double shifts. At the polish she applied 3 days ago, when she still had hope that things might get better. There's a chip on her index finger. A small one, barely visible. But he sees it. Everyone sees it now. Sir, I assure you our hygiene standards. Bernard, the floor manager, materializes beside her like an anxious ghost. His forehead gleams with sweat. The man at table 7 doesn't even look at Bernard. His eyes, and God, they're an impossible shade of gray, like storm clouds or gunmetal or something that hasn't been touched by warmth in decades, stay locked on Solène. This establishment has fallen far, he says. When I last dined here, there was dignity. Class. Now you employ... His lip curls. This. The dining room has gone so quiet Solène can hear the kitchen through the closed doors. Can hear the blood rushing in her ears. She should apologize. Should bow her head and take it. She needs this job. Needs it desperately. The eviction notice folded in her purse upstairs is proof enough of that. 3 months behind on rent. Her landlord's patience worn threadbare. This job, this miserable, exhausting job, is the only thing standing between her and the street. But something in his expression, that casual cruelty, that absolute certainty that he can say anything, do anything, and face no consequences, makes something inside her snap. I'm sorry my poverty offends you, she hears herself say. The man's eyes narrow. What did you just... I said, and Solène's voice is stronger now, ringing clear across the dining room. I'm sorry that my financial situation is such an inconvenience to your dining experience. Would you prefer I starve, so that my nails can be perfectly manicured before I serve your duck? A woman at table 3 gasps. Bernard makes a strangled sound. The man rises from his chair. He's tall, devastatingly tall, maybe 6'3" or 6'4", and when he stands, the shadows in the room seem to gather around him like courtiers attending a king. He walks toward her with predatory grace, each step measured, deliberate. Solène's heart hammers against her ribs, but she doesn't back away. Can't. Won't. He stops mere inches from her, close enough that she can smell him. Something dark and rich, like aged leather and winter nights, close enough to see that his pupils are doing something strange, expanding and contracting like a cat's. You have no idea, he says softly, dangerously, who you're speaking to. Someone with impeccable manners, clearly. His hand moves so fast she barely sees it. For a moment she thinks he's going to strike her, but instead he does something worse. He spits. The saliva hits her cheek and trails down toward her jaw. The humiliation is so immediate, so visceral, that Solène's entire body locks up. She feels it like a brand. Like every terrible moment of the past 3 years, losing her husband to cancer, losing their apartment, losing her dignity piece by piece as she worked herself to exhaustion just to survive. has been distilled into this single, devastating act. The dining room erupts in shocked murmurs. Bernard is babbling something, already reaching for her arm to pull her away to remove the problem. But Solène isn't thinking anymore. She's moving. Her right hand, the one with the chipped nail polish, the one with calluses from carrying trays for 8 hours straight, the one that held her dying husband's hand until his last breath, closes into a fist, and she drives it straight into the arrogant bastard's perfect jaw. The crack echoes through the restaurant like a gunshot. The man's head snaps to the side. He staggers backward, catches himself against a table. His hand goes to his jaw, and even through her fury and horror and the adrenaline singing through her veins, Solène sees the shock in his eyes. She hit him. She actually hit him. "Get out!" Bernard's voice is shaking. "Get out right now. You're fired. You're... Oh God, Mr. Ashfire. I am so sorry." But Solène is already moving, already ripping off her apron and throwing it on the floor. Tears blur her vision as she pushes through the kitchen doors, past Luis at the grill who's staring at her open-mouthed, past the dishwashing station, toward the employee area where her coat and purse wait. She's ruined, completely ruined. She'll never get another job in this city, not after assaulting a customer. Doesn't matter that he spat on her. Doesn't matter that he humiliated her first. She's the employee, the nobody, the nothing. And he, whoever Mr. Ashfire is clearly somebody. Solène's hands shake as she grabs her things. The eviction notice crinkles in her purse. She has $43 in her checking account. Nowhere to go, no family left. She's wiping at her cheek, at the spit still cooling on her skin, when she hears footsteps behind her. "Please," she says without turning around. "Just let me leave. I'm already gone. I won't..." "That was inadvisable." It's his voice. Solène spins around, her back hitting the lockers. He's standing in the doorway of the employee area, his hand still pressed to his jaw. In the harsh fluorescent lighting, he looks different, sharper, more dangerous. His eyes catch the light wrong, reflecting it back with a silvery sheen that makes her stomach drop. "Stay away from me," she says. "I'm leaving. Just, please, I've lost enough." He tilts his head, studying her with an intensity that makes her skin prickle. "You broke my jaw." "I doubt that." But even as she says it, she remembers the sound. The feel of impact traveling up her arm. His lips quirk. Just barely. The movement makes him wince. "No, you actually did." He drops his hand, and Solène sees his jaw shift. And then it's straight again, aligned, perfect. I haven't had a broken bone in 300 years. It healed, of course, but still. Impressive. 300 years. The words hang in the air between them. Solène presses harder against the lockers, her coat clutched to her chest like a shield. "You're insane." "Am I?" He takes a step closer. The shadows in the room seem to deepen. "Tell me, Solène. Yes, I know your name. I can hear it on that ridiculous name tag in your purse. When have you ever hit someone that hard before?" "I've never..." She stops. Because it's true. She's never hit anyone. Not in self-defense classes. Not in anger. Never. She's 5'6" and chronically exhausted and surviving on protein bars and spite. She shouldn't have been able to crack a dinner roll, let alone break a jaw. "You're stronger than you know," he says quietly, which makes this situation considerably more complicated. "I don't understand." "No, you wouldn't." He's close now. Too close. But somehow Solène finds she isn't afraid anymore. Or rather, she is, but it's a different kind of fear. Not of violence, but of vertigo, like standing at the edge of a cliff and feeling the pull of the void. "Tell me about your mother." The question is so unexpected that Solène actually laughs. It comes out bitter and broken. "My mother? She died when I was 5. Why? How did she die?" "A car accident, or..." Solène frowns. The memory is hazy, worn smooth by time, and her father's reluctance to discuss it. They said it was a car accident, but I don't remember much. Did your father ever tell you what your mother was before she met him? She was a teacher. What does this have to... A teacher? His smile is sharp enough to draw blood. Of course. How very human. He reaches out, and before Solène can flinch away, his fingers brush her cheek. Right where he spat on her. His touch is cold. Not unpleasantly so, but definitely not human warm. When he pulls back, his fingertips glisten. You wiped my saliva off with your hand, rubbed it into your skin. I was upset. I wasn't thinking. And now you're not burning, not convulsing, not dying. His eyes search hers. You should be. Vampire saliva is toxic to humans. Even a trace amount on broken skin, and I can smell the paper cut on your thumb from this morning, would cause excruciating pain, paralysis, eventually death, if untreated. Vampire. The word sits between them like a living thing. Solène's mouth opens, closes. You're insane, she repeats, but the words have no strength behind them. Am I? Look at me, Solène. Really look. So she does. And once she's looking, really looking, the way she hasn't since he stood up from table 7, she sees it. The way his chest doesn't rise and fall quite right. The way his skin is too pale, too perfect, unmarred by freckles or blemishes, or the tiny imperfections that make someone real. The way his eyes catch the light like an animal's. The way the shadows around him seem alive. No, she whispers. No, that's not. Vampires aren't. We are. We have been for millennia. And you, Solène Marchand, are something that shouldn't exist. He leans in, and his breath, cool and oddly sweet, feathers across her face. You're half human, and half something else. Something with our strength, our resilience. But you've been living as a human your whole life, completely unaware. Solène's knees buckle. She would have fallen if his hand hadn't shot out, catching her elbow with inhuman speed. This is crazy, she manages. I'm crazy. I hit you, and now I'm having a breakdown in the back of a restaurant, and you're having a revelation. His grip on her elbow is firm, but surprisingly gentle. And a rather inconvenient one, I'll admit. When I came to this establishment tonight, I was expecting mediocre cuisine and adequate service. Instead, I found you. His jaw tightens. And I treated you abominably. You spat on me. I did. And you retaliated appropriately. There's something almost like respect in his voice now. I am Theron Ashvir, king of the northern bloodlines, sovereign of the Night Court. I have lived for 8 centuries, and in that time I have become accustomed to a certain standard, to being obeyed without question, to having my cruelty met with fear rather than resistance. His thumb traces a small circle on her elbow, and Solène's breath catches. You surprised me, impressed me, and made me realize how deeply I'd forgotten what it means to be challenged. You're saying you're a vampire king. The words sound ridiculous even as she says them. And I'm... What? Part vampire? I don't know what you are, Theron admits. Not yet. But I intend to find out. Because if you're what I suspect, if your mother was one of us, and somehow hid her nature, lived among humans, bore a child with one, then you're unique, unprecedented, and very, very valuable. The word valuable makes Solène's stomach turn. I'm not a thing to be collected. No, you're not. His expression softens, just slightly. You're a woman who's been fighting to survive, who's been beaten down by circumstances and cruelty, who should have broken 1,000 times over but somehow remained standing. He releases her elbow and steps back, giving her space. I wronged you tonight, publicly and viciously. So I'm going to do something I haven't done in a very, very long time. What? I'm going to make it right. Before Solène can ask what he means, Theron turns and walks back toward the dining room. His posture is different now, straighter, more regal. Every inch the king he claims to be. Solène follows without thinking, her coat still clutched in white-knuckled hands. The dining room falls silent when Theron re-enters. Bernard is at table 7, frantically dabbing at the tablecloth. The other diners are trying to pretend they weren't gossiping, failing miserably. Theron walks to the center of the room, stops, and speaks in a voice that carries to every corner. I owe this establishment, and all of you, an apology for my appalling behavior this evening. His eyes sweep the room. The server I mistreated, Solène Marchand, acted with far more grace and dignity than I deserved. My actions were inexcusable. My words were beneath contempt, and her response was not only justified, but restrained, given the circumstances. The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Bernard's mouth hangs open. Furthermore, Theron continues, I am formally extending an offer of employment to Miss Marchand, as my personal assistant. The salary will be $200,000 annually, with full benefits, housing provided, and immediate signing bonus to cover any outstanding debts or obligations she may have. Solène's coat slips from her fingers and puddles on the floor. $200,000. She makes $23,000 a year at the restaurant. Before tips. This offer is non-negotiable and begins immediately, Theron says. Should Miss Marchand choose to accept, she will leave with me tonight. Should she refuse, I will ensure that she receives glowing references and financial compensation sufficient to sustain her for the next 6 months, while she seeks other employment. He finally turns to look at her. The choice, however, is entirely yours. Every eye in the restaurant swivels to Solène. She stands there in her threadbare uniform, her chipped nail polish, her second-hand shoes with the worn soles. Stands there with $43 to her name and an eviction notice in her purse, and absolutely nothing left to lose. Why? She asks. Her voice sounds very small. Because I wronged you, and because... Theron's expression is unreadable. I suspect your life is about to become considerably more complicated. You'll need resources, protection, answers to questions you don't even know to ask yet. And you're offering all that out of the goodness of your heart? His smile is sharp and sad all at once. I don't have a heart. Not one that beats, anyway. But I do have power, wealth, influence, and a vested interest in understanding what you are. He extends a hand toward her. So, what do you say, Solène Marchand? Do you accept? She should say no. Should walk away from this insane, impossible situation and find some other job, some other way to survive. But she's so tired of surviving. And that hand, pale and steady and wrapped in expensive shirt sleeves, is the first thing anyone has offered her in years. Solène crosses the dining room. Her legs feel like they're moving through water. When she reaches Theron, she doesn't take his hand immediately. Instead, she looks up at him, at this creature who claims to be a vampire king, who humiliated her and then praised her in equal measure, and says, I want triple that salary, $300,000, and I want it in writing before we leave this restaurant. Someone behind her makes a strangled sound. But Theron? Theron throws back his head and laughs. It's the first real, unguarded expression she's seen from him, and it transforms his face from beautiful to devastating. Done, he says. You drive a fierce bargain for someone who was making minimum wage an hour ago. I learn fast. I'm beginning to see that. He produces a phone from his pocket, sleek, expensive, probably costs more than her last car, and makes a call. Lysa, draw up an employment contract. Personal assistant position, $300,000 annually, full benefits, signing bonus of, he glances at Solène. How much do you owe in back rent and outstanding bills? I can't, how much? 8,000, she whispers. Maybe 9. 20,000 signing bonus, Theron says into the phone. Have the contract delivered to Le Bernardine within the hour. Yes, the restaurant. Don't ask. He ends the call. There, in writing, as requested. Solen's chest feels tight. She might be hyperventilating. This is insane. Yes, Theron agrees. But then, so is breaking a vampire's jaw in your first encounter. I think we're well past sanity at this point. The contract arrives 45 minutes later, delivered by a woman in a suit that probably costs more than Solen's entire wardrobe. Lisa, tall, elegant, with eyes that have the same silvery sheen as Theron's, looks Solen up and down with barely concealed curiosity. This is the one? She asks Theron. This is Solen. Show respect. Lisa's eyebrows climb toward her hairline, but she bows her head slightly. My apologies. The contract, as requested. She hands over a leather portfolio. Solen reads every word. She's exhausted and overwhelmed and pretty sure she's having some kind of breakdown, but she's not stupid. The contract is surprisingly straightforward. Employment terms, salary, benefits, termination clauses. There's a confidentiality section that's more extensive than the others, full of language about discretion and non-disclosure. The confidentiality bit, Solen says, tapping the page. This is about the vampire thing. Lysa and Theron exchange glances. Yes, Theron says. Our existence is not public knowledge. It needs to remain that way. Why? Because humans fear what they don't understand. And fear makes them dangerous. His voice is matter of fact. We've learned over the centuries that it's simpler to hide in plain sight. To use our wealth and influence to move through your world undetected. And if I told someone, after signing this, then the contract becomes void, and you would face legal consequences, Theron says. But more than that, you would face consequences from the court. We protect our secrets, Solen. Fiercely. It should scare her. Maybe it does. But Solen is thinking about the eviction notice, about eating protein bars for dinner because she couldn't afford real food, about the endless, grinding exhaustion of working herself to death just to stay in one place. She picks up the pen Lissa offers and signs her name at the bottom of the contract. Excellent, Theron says. Now, let's get you out of here. Bernard appears as they're heading toward the exit, wringing his hands. Mr. Ashfire, I must again apologize for... The failure was mine, not yours. Theron cuts him off. And this restaurant will be compensated for the disruption. Expect a transfer tomorrow. He pauses. Also, your head chef is stealing from you. The one who works Tuesday and Thursday nights. Check his orders against actual inventory. Bernard's eyes go wide. But how did you... I notice things. Theron's hand settles on the small of Solen's back, guiding her toward the door. Good evening. The night air is sharp and cold when they step outside. A car is waiting. Black, sleek, probably German and definitely expensive. The driver opens the door without a word. Solen hesitates at the curb. I don't have anything. My apartment. All my stuff. We'll handle it, Theron says. Tomorrow, you can return with security to collect whatever you want to keep. Tonight, you're coming with me. You need rest, food. And then, we need to talk. About what I am? Yes. He gestures to the car. Please, I promise you're safe. Whatever else I am, I keep my word. Solen slides into the car. The leather seats are butter soft and smell like money. Theron settles in beside her, and the door closes with a whisper-quiet click. As the car pulls away from the curb, Solen watches the restaurant recede in the side mirror. The place that's consumed her life for the past year, that's ground her down to nothing, getting smaller and smaller until it's just another lit window in a city full of them. No regrets? Theron asks quietly. 1,000 regrets, Solen says, but not about leaving. The apartment Theron brings her to isn't an apartment at all. It's a penthouse that occupies the entire top floor of a building in the financial district. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the glittering city. The furniture is the kind that belongs in museums. Fresh flowers, night-blooming jasmine, she recognizes the scent from her grandmother's garden, fill crystal vases on every surface. You'll stay here tonight, Theron says, shrugging out of his suit jacket. In shirt sleeves, he looks slightly less intimidating. Slightly. There are 4 guest rooms. Choose whichever you prefer. Kitchen is fully stocked. Help yourself to anything. I'll have clothing delivered in the morning. Solène stands in the entrance, feeling completely out of place. Where will you be? I have matters to attend to, calls to make. Your presence tonight has complicated things. He moves to a bar cart and pours amber liquid into a crystal glass. Doesn't offer her any, she notices. Probably because vampires and alcohol. She has no idea how that works. How any of this works. I'll return before dawn. Because you'll burn up in the sunlight? Because I prefer the night. Sunlight is uncomfortable but not fatal. Most of the mythology is nonsense. He takes a sip of his drink, watching her over the rim. But some of it is accurate. We do need blood. We are stronger, faster, harder to kill than humans. We do live for centuries, if nothing violent ends us first. And yes, there are courts and kings and politics that would make your human governments look simple. Solène's head is spinning. She moves to the windows, pressing her forehead against the cool glass. Below, the city sprawls in every direction. Millions of people going about their lives, completely unaware that vampires exist, that she might be one. Half of one. Whatever that means. My mother, she says quietly. If she was like you, why did she hide it? Why live as a human? That, Theron says, is one of many questions I intend to answer. He sets down his glass. But not tonight. Tonight you need rest. Real rest, not the exhausted collapse you've been calling sleep for the past 3 years. How do you... I can hear it in your heartbeat. See it in the shadows under your eyes. You've been running on empty for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to be full. He crosses to her, and Solène's breath hitches as he stops just behind her, close enough that she can feel the unnatural cold radiating from his skin. I will find out what happened to your mother. I will discover what you are, and I will ensure you're protected while I do so. These things I promise you. Why? Solène turns to face him. You're a king. What am I to you besides a curiosity? I don't know yet, Theron admits. His hand rises, hesitates, then very gently tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture is so unexpectedly tender that Solène's throat tightens. But when you hit me tonight, when you stood there in your worn uniform with your chipped nail polish and looked at me without fear, I felt something I haven't felt in 200 years. What? Interest. His thumb traces the curve of her jaw, feather-light. You made me curious, Solène Marchand. You made me want to know your story, and that is a rare and precious thing. Solène should step back, should put distance between herself and this creature who spat on her mere hours ago. But his touch is gentle now, reverent almost, and she's so tired of being alone. Stay, she hears herself whisper, just for tonight. I don't want to be alone in this massive place. Something flickers in Theron's eyes. Surprise, maybe? Or pleasure. I'll stay, he says, but you need to eat first. When's the last time you had a real meal? Solène tries to remember. I had a protein bar before my shift. That's not food, that's survival. He takes her hand, the one with the chipped nail polish, the one that broke his jaw, and leads her toward the kitchen. Come, I may not eat, but I remember what humans need, and you, Solène, need to be cared for. The kitchen is enormous, all marble and stainless steel. Theron opens the refrigerator to reveal enough food to feed a family for a week. I don't even know what half this stuff is, Solène admits. Then we'll experiment. Theron pulls out ingredients with surprising confidence. I was human once, you know, a very long time ago. I remember cooking, the pleasure of creating something with your hands. Solène watches him work, too exhausted and overwhelmed to do more than perch on a bar stool. He moves with economical grace, chopping vegetables with a knife that probably costs more than her security deposit, setting water to boil for pasta. What were you like? she asks. When you were human? Theron's hands still for just a moment. Angry. Ambitious. I was the third son of a minor lord. No inheritance. No prospects. So I went to war. He resumes chopping. I died on a battlefield in what's now Ukraine. Bled out in the mud at 24 years old. A vampire found me in my last moments. She offered me a choice. Death or transformation. You chose transformation. I did, and spent the next century learning to regret it. He slides pasta into boiling water. Vampirism is a gift and a curse, Solène. We gain power, longevity, strength. We lose warmth, daylight, the ability to create life. We lose humanity, piece by piece, until we forget what it was like to care about anything beyond power and survival. Is that what happened to you? Yes. He doesn't flinch from the truth. I became cruel, calculating. I built an empire of blood and fear. I took the crown of the northern bloodlines by killing the previous king in single combat. For centuries, I've ruled with absolute authority, and no one has dared to challenge me. He looks up from the pan where vegetables are sizzling in olive oil. Until tonight, when a human waitress broke my jaw and reminded me what courage looks like. Solène's cheeks heat. I wasn't being courageous. I was being stupid. Sometimes they're the same thing. He plates the pasta, creamy carbonara with perfectly cooked vegetables on the side, and sets it in front of her. Eat all of it. The first bite is heaven. Solène hasn't had food this good since before everything fell apart, since before her husband got sick, and every penny went to medical bills that couldn't save him anyway. She eats, and Theron watches her with an expression she can't quite read. What? She asks between bites. I'm trying to remember the last time I cared whether someone ate, he says. I think it was 1823. There was a human girl who worked in my household. She was ill, wasting away. I had my people nurse her back to health. He tilts his head. She reminded me of my sister, the one I had when I was human, who died of fever when she was 12. Do you still think about her? Every day. His voice is soft. Memory is what keeps us human, Solène. Even after we've lost everything else, we have memory. And sometimes that's enough. Solène finishes the pasta and feels more grounded than she has in months. Fed. Warm. Safe. Impossibly. Come, Theron says, offering his hand again. I'll show you to a room. He leads her down a hallway lined with art that's probably priceless. The guest room he opens is bigger than her entire apartment was. The bed looks like something from a magazine, crisp white linens, about 1,000 pillows, a duvet that's probably made of clouds. There's clothing in the closet, Theron says. It might not fit perfectly, but it'll do for tonight. Bathroom is through there. Take a bath if you'd like. The tub is rather spectacular. Solène turns to him, suddenly aware of how strange this all is. This impossible night. This creature who was cruel and then kind. This offer that's too good to be true. Thank you, she says. For the food, the contract, all of it. Thank you, Theron counters, for reminding me that even kings can be wrong. He reaches out, and this time his hand cups her cheek fully. His thumb brushes away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. Sleep well, Solène. Tomorrow, your new life begins. He's turning to leave when she catches his wrist. His skin is cool under her fingers, smooth as marble. Stay, she says again. Please, just sit with me until I fall asleep. I don't want to be alone. For a long moment he just looks at her. Then, slowly, he nods. Solène changes in the bathroom, finds soft pajamas that are only slightly too large, and crawls into the massive bed. The sheets are the softest thing she's ever felt. Theron settles in a chair beside the bed, his long legs stretched out in front of him. In the dim light from the bedside lamp, he looks less like a monster and more like a man. A tired man with old eyes and older pain. Tell me something true. Solène murmurs, her eyes already drifting closed. Something you haven't told anyone in a long time. I'm lonely, Theron says quietly. I have power and wealth and subjects who fear me, but I'm so lonely I've forgotten what warmth feels like. Me too, Solène whispers. I've been lonely since David died. Since before that even. Since I stopped being a person and became just someone trying to survive. You're a person, Theron says. A remarkable one. Don't let the world convince you otherwise. Solène wants to respond, but sleep is pulling her under like a tide. The last thing she's aware of is Theron's cool hand covering hers on the blanket, a gesture of comfort from someone who's forgotten how to give it. And for the first time in 3 years, she sleeps without nightmares. Solène wakes to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee. For a disorienting moment, she forgets where she is. Then it all comes rushing back. The restaurant, the confrontation, the contract, the revelation that vampires are real, and she might be one of them. She sits up, heart pounding, and finds a note on the bedside table. Gone to make arrangements. Coffee in the kitchen. Lisa will arrive at 10 to take you shopping. Make yourself at home. Tea. The handwriting is sharp and elegant, like its author. Solène pads to the kitchen in the 2 large pajamas, and finds not just coffee, but an entire breakfast spread. Pastries, fruit, yogurt, juice. A small card propped against the coffee pot reads, "Wasn't sure what you'd like, so I got everything." Something in her chest clenches. When's the last time someone anticipated her needs? When's the last time someone cared enough to try? She's working her way through a croissant that tastes like butter in heaven when the apartment door opens. Lissa enters, looking impeccable in a tailored pantsuit. "Good morning," she says, her tone carefully neutral. "I trust you slept well?" "I did, actually." Lisa sets down the bag she's carrying. Designer, Solène notices, though she doesn't recognize the label. "I've brought a few things to tide you over until we can do proper shopping. Theron was very specific about ensuring your comfort." There's something in the way she says Theron, without the honorific, without the deference, that makes Solène look at her more closely. "You're close to him," Solène says. "You're not just an employee." "I've served the Northern Court for 3 centuries, Lissa says. "Theron is my king, but he's also—" She hesitates. "He's also something like a friend. As much as creatures like us can have friends. So you're a vampire, too." "I am." Lisa pulls clothing from the bag, jeans, a sweater, undergarments still in packaging. "And I'll admit, I was skeptical when Theron called me last night. He's been different lately. Restless, cruel even by our standards. I worried he was losing himself to the darkness that takes us all, eventually." She looks at Solène directly. "Then he met you." "I hit him." "You challenged him. There's a difference." Lisa's lips quirk. "He's been insufferable for decades. Someone needed to remind him that power doesn't excuse cruelty." Solène takes the clothing, running her fingers over the soft denim. "He said I might be part vampire because of my mother." "It's possible." Lisa's expression grows serious. "There are stories, old ones, about vampires who tried to live among humans, who fell in love with them. The offspring of such unions are rare. Most don't survive to term, and those who do are usually stillborn or die in infancy. But occasionally," she gestures at Solène, "occasionally one lives. And they're unlike anything else in our world." "What are they like?" "Strong, fast, resistant to our weaknesses but not fully vampire. They can walk in daylight without discomfort, eat human food, live as humans do, but they also have our gifts, enhanced senses, accelerated healing, longevity." Lisa pauses. "If that's what you are, Solène, you're valuable beyond measure, and also in considerable danger." The croissant turns to dust in Solène's mouth. "Danger from what?" "From those who would use you, study you, breed you to create more of your kind." Lisa's voice is flat, matter of fact. "The vampire world is not kind. We're predators by nature, and something as unique as you would be seen as either a weapon or a resource. Fear, cold and sharp, slides down Solen's spine. And Theron? What does he see me as? I don't know, Lisa admits, but I know he's protecting you. That means something. He doesn't protect frivolously. Solen changes in the guest room, her mind racing. The jeans fit perfectly, and so does the sweater. Soft cashmere and deep burgundy. There are even shoes in her size, leather boots that probably cost more than her monthly rent used to. When she emerges, Lisa is waiting by the door. Ready? We have a full day ahead. The shopping trip is surreal. Lisa takes her to boutiques Solen has only ever walked past with her nose pressed to the window. They buy clothes, real clothes, not clearance rack desperation. Coats and dresses and shoes and things Solen doesn't even have names for. Is this all really necessary? Solen asks as a saleswoman wraps yet another purchase. You're going to be in the public eye, Lisa says. As Theron's personal assistant, you'll attend court functions, meetings with other bloodline leaders, human business associates who don't know what we are but judge us by appearances anyway. She picks up a silk scarf, considers it, adds it to the pile. You need to look the part. Theron's reputation reflects on everyone in his court. I'm not part of his court, aren't you? Lisa's smile is knowing. You signed his contract. You're under his protection. You live in his home. By our laws, that makes you his, whether you realize it yet or not. His. The word should bother her more than it does. They break for lunch at a restaurant where the menu doesn't have prices, and the waiter treats Lisa like visiting royalty. Solen picks at her salad, overwhelmed by everything. I know it's a lot, Lisa says gently. The world is bigger and stranger than you knew, but you're not alone in navigating it. Why are you being so nice to me? Solen asks. You don't know me. I could be nobody. Nothing. You're the woman who broke the Northern King's jaw and made him apologize publicly. Lisa's grin is fierce and approving. That's not nothing. That's legend. I was just angry. Anger is powerful, especially righteous anger. Lisa leans forward. We've all wanted to hit Theron at some point. You're just the first person in centuries with the courage to actually do it. Despite everything, Solen laughs. It feels good, normal. They're loading shopping bags into the car when Solen's phone rings. She doesn't recognize the number. Hello? Miss Marchand? This is Robert Chen from Crestview Properties. I'm calling about your apartment. Her landlord. Solen's stomach drops. Mr. Chen, I know I'm behind, but I have the money now. Actually, I'm calling because your account has been paid in full. Not just the back rent, but the next 6 months as well. And there was a significant donation to cover the inconvenience of your late payments. He sounds confused and pleased in equal measure. I wanted to confirm the payment was legitimate before processing it. Solen looks at Lisa, who's examining her nails with exaggerated innocence. It's legitimate, Solen says quietly. Thank you for calling. When she hangs up, Lisa says, Theron wanted to ensure you had options. If you decide this life isn't for you, you'll have a place to go back to. He didn't have to do that. No, he didn't. Lisa opens the car door. That's what makes it meaningful. They return to the penthouse as the sun is setting. Solen is exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with physical tiredness. The shopping bags, dozens of them, are carried up by staff who appear and disappear like ghosts. Theron isn't there. The apartment feels empty without him, which is ridiculous given that she's known him for less than 24 hours. He'll be back soon, Lisa says, reading her expression. He had meetings with the court. They're concerned about you. Because I might be part vampire? Because you're an unknown variable. And because Theron is protecting you personally, rather than turning you over to the court scholars for study. Lisa's expression is serious. He's taking a risk for you, Solen. Don't underestimate what that means. After Lisa leaves, Solen wanders the enormous apartment. She finds Theron's study, all dark wood and leather, smelling like him, and doesn't go in. Finds a library with floor-to-ceiling shelves and sits in a chair by the window, watching the city light up as night falls. She's holding a book she's not reading when she hears the door open. Theron appears in the library doorway moments later, still in his suit, looking tired in a way that shouldn't be possible for an immortal creature. "You're back," Solène says unnecessarily. "I am." He crosses to the bar cart in the corner, pours himself a drink. "How was your day?" "Expensive, overwhelming, strange." She sets down the book. "Your court doesn't like me." "My court doesn't know what to make of you." He takes a long sip. "They want me to hand you over for testing. Blood samples, genetic analysis, the full catalog of indignities." Fear spikes through her. "Are you going to?" "No." The word is flat, final. "You're not a specimen. You're a person, and you're under my protection." He moves to the window, standing beside her chair. "I told them as much, rather forcefully. Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. I've made things complicated for both of us." He looks down at her, and in the fading light, his eyes are more silver than gray. "The court elders are demanding I bring you before them, to present you formally, to allow them to assess what you are. And if I refuse, then you'll be branded a rogue element, hunted." His jaw tightens. "I won't let that happen. So we'll go. Together. And I'll ensure no one touches you without your consent." Solène stands, moving closer to him. Close enough to see the tension in his shoulders, the weight he carries. "Why are you doing this? Really?" "Because when I looked at you last night, after you hit me, after you stood there bleeding defiance and courage, I saw myself, the version of myself I was before I let power corrupt everything good in me." His hand rises, fingers hovering near her face, but not quite touching. "You reminded me what it means to fight, to refuse to bow, and I will not let the world break that in you." "I'm already broken," Solène whispers. "I've been broken for years." "No." His fingers brush her cheek now, cool and gentle. "You're scarred, battered, exhausted, but not broken. Broken things don't fight back. And you, Solène Marchand, are a fighter." The words unlock something in her chest, something tight and painful that's been lodged there since David died, since the world became too heavy to carry. She steps into Theron's space and wraps her arms around him. He freezes. For a heartbeat, two, he's utterly still. Then slowly his arms come around her, holding her carefully, like she might shatter. "Thank you," Solène says into his chest, "for seeing me, for not treating me like I'm nothing." "You could never be nothing," Theron murmurs into her hair. "You're extraordinary. You just don't know it yet." They stand like that as the last light fades from the sky. A vampire king and a woman who might be more than human, finding comfort in each other's brokenness. The court presentation happens 3 days later. Solène spends the intervening time learning about vampire politics, about the different bloodlines and their territories, about the delicate balance of power that keeps their world hidden from human eyes. Theron is patient, answering her endless questions. Lisa provides context, often with wry commentary about centuries of court drama. "The southern bloodlines are going to be insufferable," Lisa says the evening before the presentation. She's helping Solène prepare, selecting a dress that somehow manages to be elegant and intimidating at once. Their queen, Svetlana, has been trying to arrange a marriage alliance with Theron for decades. A marriage alliance? Solène's stomach does something complicated. It's how we consolidate power. Bloodlines unite through marriage, produce heirs, though vampire reproduction is rare and difficult. Lisa pins Solène's hair up, studying her reflection critically. Svetlana wants access to the northern territories. Theron keeps refusing. She's going to see you as either a rival or an opportunity. Theron and I aren't, Solène flounders. "Aren't you?" Lissa's smile is sly. "He barely leaves your side. took you into his home, defied his court for you. Those aren't things our king does casually. Solen's face heats. He's protecting me. Keep telling yourself that. The court meets in a building that looks like a modern art museum from the outside. Inside, it's all Gothic grandeur. Vaulted ceilings, stone columns, torches that burn with blue-white flame. Vampires fill the great hall. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all inhumanly beautiful and terrifying. They turn to watch as Theron enters with Solen at his side. The weight of their attention is crushing. Theron's hand finds the small of her back, steadying her. "You're doing fine," he murmurs. "Chin up, don't let them see fear." They approach a raised dais where 5 vampires sit in throne-like chairs. The court elders, Solen realizes. Ancient, powerful, and looking at her like she's a particularly interesting insect. "King Theron," the center vampire says. "She's beautiful in that ageless way they all are, with long silver hair and eyes like chips of ice. You've brought the anomaly." "I've brought Solen Marchand," Tyron corrects, and there's steel in his voice. "And she will be addressed with respect." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. "Of course," the elder says, though her smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Miss Marchand, we are most curious about you. Our scholars tell us you have vampire characteristics, despite having no bite mark, no transformation. This is unprecedented." "So I've been told," Solen says, proud that her voice doesn't shake. "We would like to study you, to understand what you are." "No." Theron's voice cuts across the hall. "Miss Marchard is not a science experiment. She's under my protection. Any examination of her nature will be done with her full consent and comfort, or not at all." The silver-haired elder's eyebrows climb. "You would deny the court's authority. I would prioritize basic decency over scientific curiosity." Theron's hand presses more firmly against Solen's back. "Miss Marchand has rights. She will be treated with dignity. This is not negotiable. And if we disagree?" Another elder speaks up, male, dark-haired, with a cruel mouth. "If we demand access to this creature?" Theron's expression goes cold. "Then you'll have to go through me first." The threat hangs in the air. Around them, vampires shift nervously. Whatever else he is, Theron is the Northern King, powerful enough to back up his words. "Perhaps," a new voice says, "we can reach a compromise." A woman glides forward from the crowd. She's stunning, pale as moonlight, with hair like spilled ink and a red dress that probably costs more than a car. Svetlana, Solen realizes, the Southern Queen. "King Theron is right that the young woman deserves courtesy," Svetlana continues, her accent thick and Eastern European. "But the court's concerns are also valid. We've never encountered someone like her. Understanding her nature benefits us all." She smiles at Solen, showing just a hint of fang. Perhaps Miss Marchand would consent to a simple blood test. Nothing invasive, just enough to determine what she carries in her veins. It's a trap. Solen can feel it. But refusing outright will make her look guilty, afraid. "I'll consent," Solen says, ignoring Theron's sharp inhale. "But I choose who takes the sample, and I want the results shared with me immediately, not hidden away for court scholars to pore over." Svetlana's smile widens. "Clever girl. Yes, those terms are acceptable." The blood draw is quick and clinical. Lissa administers it with gentle efficiency while Theron hovers nearby, radiating protective menace. "Results will take an hour," Lissa murmurs. "Maybe less. We have equipment here that's more sophisticated than anything human medicine has access to." The wait is excruciating. Solen is given a chair on the edge of the hall, while vampires conduct other business, territory disputes, requests for audience, the mundane politics of immortal beings. Theron stays beside her, a silent sentinel. "You shouldn't have agreed," he says quietly. "I had to." Refusing would have made me look weak. You're not weak. No, but they don't know that yet. She glances at him. You can't protect me from everything, Theron, especially not if I'm going to live in your world. It's not my world. It's our world now. The possessiveness in the words makes her chest tight. When Lysa returns, her expression is carefully neutral. She carries a tablet that she hands to the silver-haired elder. The elder reads. Her eyes widen. This is... She looks up at Solène. This is remarkable. What is it? Theron demands. Her blood carries markers of vampire origin, but not from a bite or transformation. These are genetic, inherited. The elder's voice rises with excitement. She's Dhampir, half vampire by birth. We haven't seen one in over 4 centuries. The hall erupts in noise. Vampires pressing forward, trying to see, to get closer. Theron moves in front of Solène, his body a barrier between her and the crowd. Back! All of you! Now! A Dhampir, Svetlana breathes, her eyes gleaming. Do you understand what this means? She could bridge our world and the human one. Could produce offspring with either species. She's invaluable. She's a person, Theron snarls, not a breeding prospect. But surely you see the potential. What I see is a woman who's been through hell and deserves peace, not to be turned into a commodity. His voice drops to something dangerous. Anyone who approaches her without permission will answer to me personally, and trust me, you don't want that. The crowd backs off. Even Svetlana retreats a step, though her expression remains calculating. The silver-haired elder stands. The court recognizes Solène Marchand as Dhampir. She is unique and will be afforded appropriate protection. However, her gaze sharpens. She must also be educated in our ways, taught to control her gifts, integrated into our society properly. She'll be educated, Theron agrees. Under my supervision. In my court! You claim her for the Northern bloodline? I do. The words are formal, binding. Solène doesn't fully understand them, but she feels their weight. So witnessed, the elder intones. Solène Marchand is under the Northern King's protection and authority. Any who challenge this will face the court's judgment. It's over. Solène can feel it, the subtle relaxation of tension, the way vampires begin to disperse. Theron turns to her, his expression fierce and oddly tender. Come, we're leaving. He guides her out of the hall with a hand on her back. They're almost to the exit when Svetlana intercepts them. A word, King Theron? Make it brief. Svetlana's eyes flick to Solène. I meant privately. Anything you say to me can be said in front of Solène. The Queen's smile is sharp. Very well. I'm curious about your sudden attachment to this girl. You've never been the sentimental type. People change. Vampires don't. Not really. We are what we are. She circles them slowly, predatory. Unless... Oh, how delicious. You're attracted to her. Theron's jaw tightens. That's none of your concern. It's very much my concern if the Northern King is making decisions based on emotion rather than logic. Svetlana stops in front of Solène. Tell me, little Dhampir, do you have feelings for our cold, cruel king? Solène meets her gaze steadily. I think he's more than his reputation suggests. And he thinks you're more than a waitress with chipped nail polish. Svetlana laughs. How romantic. How human. Be careful, dear. Men like Theron don't love. They possess. And possession can be its own kind of prison. Is that what happened to you? Solène asks before she can stop herself. Someone possessed you? Made you this bitter? For a moment, genuine fury flashes across Svetlana's face. Then she smiles again, cold and empty. No, dear. I learned the truth about love the hard way. I hope you don't have to do the same. She sweeps away, leaving them alone. Theron's hand finds Solen's. Don't listen to her. She's been hurt, and now she hurts others. It's what we do when we live too long. Is it? Solen looks up at him. Is that what you do? I did, before you. His thumb traces circles on her palm. Now I'm trying to remember how to be something other than cruel. They drive back to the penthouse in silence. Solen's mind is spinning with everything she learned tonight. She's Dhampir, half vampire, unique, valuable, a commodity, unless Theron keeps his promise to protect her. What does it mean, she asks as they ride the elevator up, that you claimed me for the Northern bloodline? It means you're under my official protection, my responsibility. No other bloodline can touch you without my permission. He leans against the elevator wall, looking exhausted. It also means you're tied to me, to my court. You can't just leave, not without formal release. So I'm trapped. No, you're safe. His eyes meet hers. There's a difference. The elevator opens directly into the penthouse. Solen steps out, moving to the windows automatically. The city glitters below, beautiful and distant. I need you to understand something, Theron says behind her. I didn't claim you because I want to own you. I did it because it was the only way to guarantee your safety. But if you want to leave, truly leave, I'll find a way to release you, even if it costs me politically. Solen turns to face him. Why would you do that? Because you deserve freedom, choice, all the things I took for granted when I was human and forgot about after I became this. He crosses to her, stopping just out of reach. I won't be another person who traps you, Solen. You've been trapped enough. Something in her chest cracks. This creature, this vampire king who spat on her and then gave her everything, is offering her freedom, which makes her realize she doesn't want it. I don't want to leave, she says quietly. You don't have to decide now. Take time. Figure out what you want. No. Solen closes the distance between them. I know what I want. I want to understand what I am. I want to learn about this world. And I want... She takes a breath. I want to know you. The real you. Not the cruel king or the protective benefactor. Just... you. Theron's expression does something complicated. You might not like what you find. Let me be the judge of that. He laughs, soft and surprised. You're fearless. Utterly fearless. I'm terrified, Solen corrects, but I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions. Then let me make you a different offer. Theron takes her hand, holding it gently. Stay. Not as my employee or my ward. Stay as my equal. Learn what you are. Discover your power. And let me... He falters, and for the first time he looks uncertain. Let me try to be worthy of your courage. Theron? I don't know if I can love, he says. I don't know if what I feel is love or obsession, or just the desperate clinging of a drowning man to something beautiful. But I know that when I look at you, I feel more alive than I have in centuries. And I want... God, I want everything with you. The confession hangs between them, raw and honest. Solen reaches up, cupping his cold face in her hands. Then take it. Take everything. I'm offering. He kisses her. It's gentle at first, testing, careful, like he's afraid she'll break. But Solen presses closer, and the kiss deepens. His arms come around her, pulling her against him. He's cold, but not unpleasantly so. Solid. Real. When they break apart, both breathing hard, Theron rests his forehead against hers. This is dangerous, he murmurs. You're Dhampir. I'm vampire. There are rules about this. Politics. Complications. Then we'll deal with them. You make it sound simple. Isn't it? Solen smiles. You're the king. I'm half vampire. Together, we're unprecedented. Let them try to stop us. His answering smile is fierce and wild. God help anyone who tries. The weeks that follow are a whirlwind. Solène trains with Lysa, learning to access her Dhampir gifts, enhanced strength, speed, senses. She's not as powerful as a full vampire, but she's far beyond human limitations. Again, Lisa calls as Solène dodges a strike. They're in a private training room beneath the penthouse. You're thinking too much. Let instinct guide you. Solène tries, fails, gets knocked on her rear for the 5th time. This is impossible, she pants. It's difficult, not impossible. Lisa offers a hand up. You've spent 30 years learning to be human. Unlearning that takes time. But slowly, gradually, Solène improves. She gets faster, stronger, more confident, and with each victory, each time she lands a hit on Lisa, or successfully completes a training exercise, she feels more like herself. Like the person she was always meant to be. Theron watches her progress with obvious pride. He's different now, too. Lighter. The cruel edge that defined him has softened. He laughs more, smiles, acts less like a king and more like a man falling in love, because that's what's happening. Solène can feel it, in the way he brings her coffee every morning, remembering exactly how she likes it, in the way he listens when she talks about her past, her pain, in the small touches, a hand on her back, fingers brushing her hair from her face, that grow more frequent as the days pass. 1 month after the court presentation, Theron takes her to a vampire gathering. It's less formal than the court, more of a social event where different bloodlines mingle. Solène wears one of the dresses Lisa picked out, deep emerald that makes her skin glow. When Theron sees her, something flickers in his eyes that makes her stomach flip. You're stunning, he says. I clean up okay. You're stunning in your worn uniform, or designer dresses or nothing at all. His hand settles on her waist, proprietary, though I prefer the latter in private. Heat floods her cheeks. They've been dancing around physical intimacy for weeks, kisses that leave them both breathless, touches that promise more. But Theron has been careful, letting her set the pace. Tonight, though, there's something different in the air, something electric. The gathering is held in a mansion that probably costs more than a small country. Vampires everywhere, beautiful and terrible. They watch Solène with open curiosity. She's a novelty, the Dhampir claimed by the Northern King. Ignore them, Theron murmurs. They're just envious. Of what? Of me. For finding you. His hand tightens on her waist. You're the most remarkable creature in this room. Solène laughs. I'm the only non-full vampire in this room. Exactly. You're unique, and you're mine. The possessiveness should bother her. Instead, it sends a thrill down her spine. They're approached by various vampires throughout the evening. Most are polite, curious. A few are openly hostile, questioning why Theron would claim a Dhampir when he could have his pick of pure-blood vampire consorts. Because she's worth 1,000 purebloods, Theron says to one particularly rude vampire. And if you question my judgment again, I'll demonstrate exactly how protective I am of what's mine. The vampire backs off quickly. You can't threaten everyone who's rude to me, Solène says. Watch me. Later, they find themselves on a balcony overlooking the grounds. The party continues inside, but out here, it's quiet. Private. Thank you, Solène says. For tonight. For everything. You keep thanking me. Stop. Theron turns to her, his expression serious. You've given me far more than I've given you. What have I given you? Hope. Purpose. A reason to be better than I was. His hand cups her cheek. Before you, I was going through the motions of existence. Now I'm living again. Solène leans into his touch. I feel the same. Like I was sleepwalking through my life and you woke me up. We woke each other, Theron corrects. He leans down, his lips brushing hers softly. Solène, I need to tell you something. What? I love you. The words are quiet but certain. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you broke my jaw. Maybe when you demanded triple salary. Maybe in 1,000 small moments since. But I love you. Completely. Devastatingly. And I need you to know that. Tears prick Solen's eyes. I love you, too. Even though you spat on me and were a complete nightmare when we first met. He winces. I'll spend eternity making up for that. You already have. She pulls him down for a deeper kiss. But I'll let you keep trying. They stay on the balcony, wrapped in each other until Lisa finds them. Sorry to interrupt, she says, not sounding sorry at all. But Svetlana is inside making noise about challenging Solen to a blood duel. Something about questioning her legitimacy. Theron's expression goes cold. She what? It's a trap. She wants to provoke you. Lisa glances at Solen. Or provoke her. Blood duels are legal under court law. If Solen refuses, she'll look weak. Then I won't refuse, Solen says. Absolutely not. Theron's voice is steel. You've been training for a month. Svetlana is 800 years old. She'll destroy you. Then she'll destroy me. Solen straightens her shoulders. But I won't hide behind you every time someone challenges me. If I'm going to survive in this world, I need to prove I can fight my own battles. Solen, trust me. She takes his hand. Please. Trust that you've taught me enough. That I'm strong enough. For a long moment, he just looks at her. Then slowly, he nods. I trust you, but if she cheats, if she does anything outside the rules of engagement, I'm intervening. Fair enough. They return inside. The room goes quiet when Svetlana sees them. Ah, there you are, she purrs. I was just telling your court members about the old traditions. How, in my day, anyone who wanted to join a bloodline had to prove themselves in combat. Solen has already proven herself, Theron says coldly. To you, perhaps. But what about the rest of us? Svetlana's smile is all teeth. I'm simply suggesting a friendly duel, unless the little Dhampir is afraid. Every eye in the room turns to Solen. She steps forward. I accept your challenge. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Theron's hand catches her wrist. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She squeezes his hand. Let me. The duel is set for immediately. Because of course it is. No time to prepare. No time for second thoughts. They move to a cleared space in the center of the room. Vampires form a circle around them, eager for blood sport. Svetlana removes her heels, stretching with feline grace. Don't worry, dear. I'll try not to damage you too badly. Theron would be devastated to lose his new toy. I'm not his toy, Solen says calmly. I'm his equal. We'll see. The duel begins without ceremony. Svetlana moves first, fast, faster than anything Solen has faced in training. Her hand comes up, claws extending. Solen dodges. Barely. Svetlana's claws whistle past her face. Too slow, Svetlana taunts. But Solen is learning, adapting. She remembers what Lisa taught her. Don't think, react. Let instinct guide you. The next time Svetlana strikes, Solen is ready. She blocks, deflects, counters with a strike of her own that catches Svetlana's ribs. The queen hisses in surprise. They circle each other. Solen's heart is pounding, but her mind is clear. She's outmatched in experience and probably power. But she's also fighting for something Svetlana isn't. She's fighting for her place in this world, for her future with Theron, for herself. Svetlana lunges again. This time Solen doesn't dodge. She steps into the attack, using Svetlana's momentum against her. They grapple, and Solen realizes with shock that she's strong enough to hold her ground. Impressive, Svetlana grits out, but not enough. She breaks free, landing a hit that sends Solen staggering. Pain blooms across her ribs, probably bruised, maybe broken. But Solen doesn't go down. She thinks of everything that brought her here. The humiliation at the restaurant. The years of struggling. The moment she decided to stop being a victim and start fighting back. And she charges. The next exchange is brutal. They trade blows, Svetlana with centuries of skill, Solen with desperate determination. Blood flies. Solen tastes copper on her tongue, but she doesn't stop. She lands a punch to Svetlana's jaw, another to her ribs, a kick that sweeps the queen's legs out from under her. Svetlana hits the floor hard. The room goes silent. Solen stands over her, breathing hard, every muscle screaming, "Yield." For a long moment, Svetlana just stares up at her. Then, incredibly, she laughs. "I yield. Well fought, little Dhampir. Very well fought." The room erupts in noise. Vampires pressing forward, congratulating her, looking at her with new respect. But Solen only has eyes for Theron. He's crossing the floor, and when he reaches her, he pulls her into his arms with a force that knocks the breath from her lungs. "You magnificent, terrifying, amazing woman," he murmurs into her hair. "I'm so proud of you." "I won," Solen says, and then starts laughing. "I actually won." "You did, and now everyone in this room knows not to underestimate you." He pulls back, cupping her face. "You're bleeding." "I'll heal." And she will. Already she can feel her Dhampir healing kicking in, mending the worst of the damage. Theron kisses her there in front of everyone. It's not gentle or careful. It's claiming and proud and full of emotion. When they break apart, Svetlana is standing nearby. "I admit," she says, "I underestimated you. Perhaps Theron chose well after all." She inclines her head slightly. "You have my respect, Solen Marchand. That's not something I give lightly." "Thank you," Solen says. "I think." Svetlana smiles, genuine this time, without the cruel edge. "Welcome to our world. I suspect you'll make quite the impression." The rest of the evening is a blur of congratulations and curious vampires wanting to meet her properly. By the time they return to the penthouse, Solen is exhausted in every possible way. "Bath," Theron decrees, guiding her toward the bathroom. "Then food, then sleep." "You're very bossy." "Someone has to take care of you since you insist on fighting vampire queens." The bath is heaven. Theron sits on the edge of the tub, cleaning the blood from her face with gentle hands. "I thought I was going to have a heart attack watching you fight," he admits. "Every time she landed a hit, I wanted to intervene. But you didn't, because you asked me to trust you, and I do." His thumb traces her cheekbone. "But don't do that to me again for at least a century." Solen laughs. "Deal." Later, wrapped in the softest robe she owns, eating soup Theron somehow procured, she feels more content than she has in years. "I've been thinking," Theron says, "about the future." "What about it?" "You're Dhampir. You'll live for centuries, but not forever. And he hesitates. "I want forever with you, Solen, which means eventually we'll need to discuss transformation. Making you fully vampire." Solen's spoon stills. "That's years away though, right? Decades?" "Yes. You have time. I'm not rushing you. But I wanted you to know that when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be there. And I'll make sure the transformation is as gentle as possible." "Would that mean, would I have to die?" "In a sense. Your heart would stop. You'd be reborn as something new." His expression is somber. "It's not a decision to make lightly. But I'd be with you. Forever." "Yes." Solen sets down her soup and crosses to him. "Then when the time comes, I'll consider it. But for now," she settles into his lap, tucking her head under his chin. "For now, I'm happy being exactly what I am." His arms come around her, holding her close. "I love you." "I love you too, even though you're a dramatic vampire king with control issues." He laughs against her hair. "And you're a stubborn Dhampir with a mean right hook." "We're quite the pair." "We are." He kisses the top of her head. and I wouldn't change a single thing. 6 months after that night in the restaurant, Solène stands in the court hall again. But this time, she's not a curiosity or an unknown. She's here for a formal ceremony. Theron stands beside her, resplendent in formal attire. The court elders are present, along with representatives from every major bloodline. Solène Marchand, the silver-haired elder intones. You have proven yourself worthy through combat, dedication, and character. Today, the Northern Court formally recognizes you as consort to King Theron. You will have voice in court decisions, protection under court law, and all rights and privileges afforded to those of highest rank. Consort. The word makes Solène's chest tight. Theron takes her hand, threading their fingers together. Do you accept this position? I do, Solène says clearly. The hall erupts in applause. It's done. Official. She's not just Theron's girlfriend or employee. She's his equal in the eyes of their law. Afterward, at the reception, Lissa appears with champagne. To the consort, she says, grinning. Who knew when I met you that first day that you'd become this? I certainly didn't, Solène admits. I was just trying to survive. And now you're thriving. Lissa clinks their glasses together. I'm proud of you. You've handled all of this with incredible grace. I've had good teachers. You've had yourself, Lissa corrects. Don't underestimate your own strength. Theron finds her later, pulling her away from the crowd to a private balcony. Tired? He asks. A little, but happy. Solène leans against him. This time 6 months ago I was getting spat on in a restaurant. And breaking jaws. And breaking jaws, she agrees, smiling. It feels like a lifetime ago. You've changed, grown into your power. His arms tighten around her waist. But you're still you, still the woman who stood up to me when no one else would. Because you needed someone to. Because I needed you to. He turns her in his arms so they're face to face. Solène, I have something for you. He produces a small box from his pocket. Velvet. Old. Solène's heart skips. Theron, it's not what you think. Or rather, it is, but... He opens the box to reveal a ring. Not a diamond. Something better. A deep red stone that catches the light like captured blood. This was my mother's. She gave it to me before I died on that battlefield 8 centuries ago. I've kept it all this time, waiting for someone worthy of wearing it. Tears blur Solène's vision. I love you, Theron continues, and I want to spend every century I have left with you. Will you marry me? Will you be not just my consort, but my wife? My partner in everything? Yes, Solène breathes. Yes, of course, yes. He slides the ring onto her finger. It fits perfectly, like it was always meant to be hers. They kiss there under the stars while the party continues inside. A vampire king and a dhampir who found each other in the worst possible way and chose to build something beautiful from the wreckage. Thank you, Solène murmurs against his lips. For what? For seeing me, for giving me a chance, for loving me when I'd forgotten how to love myself. You gave me the same gifts, Theron says. We saved each other, Solène, and we'll keep saving each other for as long as we exist. And that night, as they stand wrapped in each other's arms, Solène realizes something profound. She's not just surviving anymore. She's living, truly, fully living. All because a cruel vampire king spat on her, and she had the courage to fight back. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives lead us exactly where we need to be. Sometimes humiliation becomes transformation. And sometimes love finds us in the most impossible places. Solène Marchand learned that lesson the hard way, but she wouldn't change a single thing. Because that terrible night in the restaurant led her here, to power, to purpose, to love, to home. And that, she thinks as Theron sweeps her into a dance under the stars, is worth every terrible moment that came before. The waitress, who had nothing now, has everything. Not because a king rescued her, though he tried, but because she rescued herself first. And in doing so, she rescued him too.